Hey, Shalom. Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all the glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors unto my apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and safety to all the sincere Akim that's out here pushing this word in truth and in all sincerity. Shalom. And and shalom to you, sincere sisters, as well. If I didn't say that, I want to make sure that everybody is coming back. So no matter how I may feel or what it look like, I know what's out there in the spirit. This is gonna be another quick one. It's kind of crazy because I don't want to put nothing out there too crazy, but the reason why I even numbered these lessons because I wanted to see how long I was going to have to be doing these. A lot of you may be not familiar with my page. I had a page years ago. Well, before this was GMS Turned Back to the Lord, it was GMS I Hate My Life. It might have been 2 or 3 at this point. My first page, this was years ago, which is so crazy. The world, man. Things be coming full circle, I was in a situation where I was working this job. It was about 5 miles away. About 5 miles away from my house. And sometimes I just didn't even have the bread I didn't have a car, and I didn't have the money to get an Uber. So I walked. And I would do lessons on that walk from my job. After I get off and getting home, I would do a lesson. I forget what I titled it, and I numbered it. And I can't remember. This was at this point almost, we're talking almost 6 years ago at this point. So I would do the lessons and so on and so forth. I know you're probably wondering, like, what does this got to do with anything? Through this lesson, this quick stream is just in the spirit is about. I've done a lesson about this weeks ago, and I guess it's another point it's just coming back up in the spirit of just submitting. The Elder Apostle Ricard did a lesson. I'm not sure if it was his most recent, but I watched it recently. And it was about I think it was the other night, taking responsibility. And, it's a must listen, It's sometimes as men, man, even us in this truth, man, if we're being honest with ourselves, we're Israelites, and all of Israel has a level of stiff-neckedness and hard-headedness. The only difference that separates the Israel of the spirit versus the Israel of the flesh is the Lord gave the Israel of the spirit something to be stubborn towards in the spirit, which is the Lord. That's where you get Ezekiel, the 2nd chapter. So if we're being honest, or Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, we're all have a level of thick-headedness. And, the scriptures say a child left to himself shall become willful. The scriptures speak about you got to bridle your child. And through the spirit, all of us outside of the apostles and elders are young, are you could say children and very young men. The apostles, they are 20-year-old men, 25-year-old men, 30-year-old men, 35-year-old men in the spirit. But we here, a lot of us, some of us are 4-year-olds, some of us are 5-year-olds, some of us are 10-year-olds. Hell, some of us might even be 13, 14, 15-year-olds. But there's still a level of, when you're under the responsibility or under the reigns of your parents, you gotta heed to their will. Same thing in the spirit. So we're just still being bridled. Like the horse, we're being broken in still. So submission is the biggest thing, man. And see, submitting is not, see, women, you'll say to women need to submit. And then they just get butthurt because of the way it sounds. There's so many things in life you got to submit to and will submit to and will have to submit to. It's not just the major things, big things that you got to submit to or will have to submit to. Right? No, what I mean is that your mind automatically creates, a certain ideal of submission, and that's what you run with. One of the things for me is what I'm learning. I was having a conversation with my father last night, and my father's just being a father, checking on me, making sure everything all right with me, pushing me to do better, pushing me to do more, and like he said to me himself, he said, man, listen, no matter what you got going on, I'm always going to push you to do more. So as a person that loves you would, and, in the spirit, I even had to say, I'm like, I'm just learning to just submit to what's going on. The scriptures say, force not the course of the river. Right? Force not the course of the river. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow. Submit to the flow of which the Lord got you going. That's what it's saying. If the Lord got you going this way, submit to it. All right? Learn, develop, make advance, make adjustments. That's very important. Okay? My leader in my camp, he always says, man, you got to be able to make adjustments, man. If you in a fight and you're doing the same thing and you steady getting your ass hit with a right hook, you might want to make an adjustment. Sometimes those adjustments are lateral. Sometimes they're up and down. You got to remember we're 3D creatures. So we're able to maneuver in certain ways that's different. Or how we see things, how we're able to go up, down, left, right, different angles. This is our dimension. So you got to make adjustments. Sometimes you got to take a step back, take 2 steps back. Sometimes you got to push the gas, move forward. Sometimes you got to move to the left. Sometimes you got to move to the right. It just all depends on what's necessary for you to succeed. And I'm not talking about some carnal world shit. I'm talking about just succeeding in the spirit, prospering in the spirit, moving forward in the spirit. And sometimes it just takes like submitting. You got to submit. Submitting, most importantly, to the will of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Because sometimes we'll be in these mind frames of like, man, I ain't doing that shit. Right? Whatever. It could just be whatever. Parking. You could literally, it could be whatever it is, and it could just be one of those things that, you in the spirit, you're just like, man, I ain't doing that shit. It don't even got nothing to do with the truth. It could just be in your own life. Like, I ain't doing that shit. Not realizing it's the Spirit of the Lord that wants you to do it. The Spirit of the Lord that's pushing you to do it. But because of our own predetermined thoughts in this place, as absorbing, I'm gonna hit you with this, absorbing other men's walks. You got to remember the scriptures speak about not basically avoiding emulations. Me and a brother did a great lesson on that years ago, because, sometimes you get so much into watching other brothers and what they're doing, even not in the envious, covetous way, even if it's just in a, an admiration that now You're not allowing for yourself to blossom in it. You're just doing what another man would do. You're saying what another man would say. You're emulating that person because that didn't work for that man. And fuck that shit. Here it is the whole time the Lord is putting an idea in your spirit or giving you a direction to move on. And you're just basically really being insubordinate to the spirit because of just being proud. And that's, for me, I speak on this from time to time because I see it even in my own life, man. You know, you gotta be mindful of pride, man. You know, and I'm thankful for this through the spirit because, you know, and you know, I put this out here. I'm about to close up for brothers as well. If you out here, you know, next week, you know, we got the Day of Atonement. You know, these are the type of things that you should be meditating on so that when you go into that fast, you have a mind frame of you know, what you're asking the Lord for in the spirit. And mainly for me, it's always to you know, fighting the spirit of pride, removing pride, man. Because pride, like pride is a demon that comes in all colors, shapes, and sizes, and everything. It's not just one way of being proud. Being proud is what I just said. Sometimes you hear what the spirit is telling you to do, even though it's not necessarily, it could be of the world. It could be, nah, you need to go here. I want you to apply to do this. I want you to work on this. You know, maybe this, I want you to do this for a while. You know, hell, even this job was a level of submitting to me. You know, submitting to the fact of, all right, I got to make some money. Things getting tight, you know? So there's things that we're always having to submit to. It's just a matter of, are you in the spirit on it, or are you just, you know, and I'm speaking about, like I said, myself first. You gotta recognize better in the spirit when the spirit is expressing. The spirit is as the wind, you know? And like Elder Apostle Ricard was saying in that lesson, there's more to this walk than just simply breakdowns and lessons, man. He always says that, you know. And, you know, I've learned that a lot by watching his videos and being around him personally throughout my years. It's one thing he really pushes, and I've benefited from it, is his walk's not just about lessons and doing this and, you know, hitting you with 1,000 breakdowns and precepts. You know, that's good and all, but it's also in your day-to-day. Are you hearing the spirit? Are you spiritual? Can you see when it's time to move? All right. So let me go. I don't want to ramble. I just wanted to put that out there. I pray this lesson was edifying and uplifting. Shalom to all you brothers, man. I hope that this is helpful. You know, we just got to keep pushing, keep fighting and improving, and we're going to be out of here soon. Shalom.